With Florida's new anti-union law in place, contracts, even though they haven't expired, are now null and void, and workers are not guaranteed those protections or benefits.
Last week in Southern labor, let's get to it. Here's what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from February 2nd to the 9th. We had several new campaigns. 160 workers at L'Auberge Casino Hotel Baton Rouge in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, filed a petition to hold a union election with the United Auto Workers, UAW. The UAW also represents thousands of casino workers in Detroit, so expanding on a base that they already have. The employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 47 workers at the Texas Tribune in Austin, Texas, demonstrated support for unionization with the Media Guild of the West, CWA, Local 39-13. 9 workers at Como Electric Cooperative in Tipton, Missouri, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 2. It looks like the Security, Police, and Fire Professionals of America, SPFPA, is rating a unit of 110 security guards at Loomis Armored US in Atlanta, Georgia, currently represented by the United Government Security Officers of America, UGSOA, Local 382. 98 workers at UNFI United Natural Foods in Atlanta, Georgia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters, Local 728. 4 workers at Barbizon Capital in Alexandria, Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, IATSE, Local 22. 12 workers at Hairspray on Tour in Fort Myers, Florida, filed a petition to hold a union election with IATSE. The employer is being represented by Littler Mendelson.
Boo, boo.
7 workers at Leidos in Merritt Island, Florida, filed a petition to hold a union election with IATSE Local 780. In campaign updates, the UAW hit 50% cards signed at Volkswagen in Chattanooga. That means that Sean Fain should be making a trip down here very soon. Tech workers at Grindr held a union election with the Communication Workers of America where the challenged ballots were determinative. So no official result is out yet, but last week the NLRB determined that some of the challenged ballots should be opened, and those only widened the lead that the pro-union workers held. There are still more challenged ballots left, so the workers are stuck waiting on the NLRB for a while longer, but the CWA predicts that if they are opened, they will only increase the lead. In election results, the one worker at Transdev Services in Mobile, Alabama, who filed a petition to hold a union election to join a previously existing bargaining unit with the Amalgamated Transit Union, has withdrawn that petition. So maybe they worked out a voluntary recognition deal with management. 50 security guards at Allied Universal in Tampa, Florida, withdrew their petition to hold a union election with SPFPA, as did 2 workers at United Rentals in O'Fallon, Missouri. They withdrew their petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters, Local 600. 17 workers at New Era in Clarksville, Tennessee, withdrew their petition to hold a union election with the United Steelworkers, USW. 29 workers at Giant Resource Recovery in Harleyville, South Carolina, voted 4-23 against unionization with the USW. 14 workers for the Hertz Corporation in El Paso, Texas, voted 5-7 against unionization with the Teamsters, Local 745. 5 workers at the Peace Center Foundation in Greenville, South Carolina, voted 5-0 in favor of unionization with IATSE, Local 322. There was an Alabama union-side law firm providing legal representation. 25 workers at Duke Riley Hospital in Raleigh, North Carolina. They voted 14-11 in favor of unionization with the International Union of Operating Engineers, IUOE, Local 465. 18 workers at Neil R. Gross and Company in Washington, D.C. voted 16-1 in favor of unionization with Court Reporters United. 31 workers at Sherwin-Williams in Lawrenceville, Georgia, voted 15-16 in favor of decertifying the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, IUPAT, Local 1961.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
In settlements, grievances, and unfair labor practices, you'll recall that Trader Joe's United, which has organized 4 locations, including one in Kentucky, has been sued by Trader Joe's for copyright infringement. Last month, a federal judge threw the case out, saying that the lawyer should almost be sanctioned for his frivolous legal arguments in the case. Last week, Trader Joe's appealed the ruling. In strikes and bargaining, after the Durham, North Carolina educators went on a sick-out last week, the Board of Education approved all of the union's emergency demands. Duke University in North Carolina raised their minimum wage to $18 an hour a few months after UE Local 150 secured an $18.50 an hour minimum wage for city workers. Paratransit drivers providing on-demand service in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, ratified their first union contract with the Amalgamated Transit Union with a 17.25% raise over 5 years, a grievance procedure, seniority protections, and more.
Love to see ATU making that kind of gain in the South. Good job.
Absolutely. The Teamsters are heading towards multiple strikes in the beer industry. Both Molson Coors and Anheuser-Busch are refusing to meet the Teamsters on key issues. The Teamsters raised the strike pay to $1,000 a week for these two groups of workers in the event that they do go on strike. In politics and legislation, a farm worker died from the heat in Miami last summer, so we've seen efforts to pass municipal heat protections in Florida cities. The Florida Senate is trying to preempt those ordinances, saying, quote, "It's unconscionable that all of a sudden we need babysitters for everyone that works. I think it's unconscionable that employers in Florida are allowed to subject their workers to conditions that lead to their death." Former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman spearheaded an effort to buy over $4 million in medical debt and forgive it, positively impacting over 5,000 Alabamians. With Florida's new anti-union law in place, 30 public sector units for city, university, and non-instructional school employees were decertified by the state. This means that their contracts, even though they haven't expired, are now null and void, and workers are not guaranteed those protections or benefits. The law automatically decertifies unions when they fall under 60%, with an opportunity for a recertification election if 30% petition for it, in which case a 50% plus one vote would recertify the union, but they would be at risk of decertification again if they did not get membership up to 60%. McKenna Schuler has great reporting on this in the Orlando Weekly. The AFL-CIO last week officially called for a ceasefire in Gaza. This comes after months of rank-and-file organizing against silence on the conflict, and now places Union Joe in direct conflict with the position of U.S. labor on the issue. Not the South, but certainly has implications for the South, as the NLRB held that basketball players at Dartmouth College are employees and scheduled a union election for March the 5th. In internal union affairs, Amazon workers at Kentucky's KCVG Air Hub voted to ratify their new local constitution in preparation for a eventual union election. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.